all of their control point maps regardless. I think it's just a matter of what they felt like playing.
Yeah, well, to reiterate, guys and girls, this is, of course, our Overwatch Contenders Australia Season 3 playoffs. The Sydney Drop Bears up against Breakaway Esports. The first team to 3 map wins makes their way through to the semi-finals, and the Drop Bears have had an undefeated season so far. It's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, this is also where they need to keep that up, make sure that they continue to perform really at the level that we know they're capable of, and I don't think Breakaway Esports will be the team that can possibly take them off the top of the standing.
It's a big ask and probably the last team you want to diverse in playoffs, so it's going to be a lot of work required here for Breakaway. Let's see how they played out. D-Field, the first one to go down as the point, becomes available. Breakaway on their 4 now. They get so very close, but the Drop Bears say, no.
Yeah, mirror comp of GOATs for both teams here. Pretty standard to see. Even though we're on 1.3, GOATs is still the go-to. Even with Ash available, I don't think we may even see her.
It's the go-to, isn't it?
It's the go-to. Point's going to be captured by the Sydney Drop Bears pretty comfortably.
Yeah, easily done for them to start things off. You can see the Drop Bears, now CKM and Bertlog already with ultimates available. The rest of the team not far behind at all, and they're going to put them in a great position now. They've got control of this point. Coming
in from the high ground, possibly, Slitzel does have his gravity search. Nice boot, though. Gets 4 into the middle of the action against Sydney Drop Bears.
Baby Poro pops the trance. Graviton Surge coming out from both teams as well. Everyone's caught in the middle, but here's the self-destruct. Not even going to be needed there because the Drop Bears managed to clean up the majority of Breakaway very, very quickly. The remainder will go down, now up to 30%.
Yeah, clean from Sydney Drop Bears. Start the fight early. They got the nice boop onto 4, pushes him into the middle of the pack, forcing out ultimates from Breakaway. They used their Graviton Surge and using the Transcendence as well from Baby Poro in a fight that they were already losing. Sydney committed their holds first, which gave them the advantage. Breakaway were already just playing catch-up from there. Up to 45% already. Looks like they're going to be coming in from the below now.
Yeah, going in from the other side, you can see 4 has the Earth Shatter available. The question is, when will we be able to use this? Will we be able to use it effectively? The shield is about to go down, but the rest of the Drop Bears is going to try and fall back here as that self-destruct will come through from Quad J. Still up to 60%. It's actually 4 who's going to get knocked down first, coming out from Chrono Dota with his Earth Shatter.
Yeah, 4 tried to get that self-destruct with the Earth Shatter, but unfortunately wasn't able to get the combination off. That's what they were looking for, though. If they could have got the Earth Shatter to connect while that self-destruct was up, they could have been able to clean up a couple of members of Sydney Drop Bears, maybe 3 or 4. Unfortunately, didn't connect, didn't get any members, but that's more ultimates committed again from Breakaway Esports without any sort of real validation here. They're not picking up any kills against the Sydney Drop Bears. 88% already.
Yeah.
They haven't even got onto the point.
Yeah, one fight potentially remaining on the first round here at Busan. It's unlikely that Breakaway are going to be able to make their way through here. They'll see what they can do, however. Everyone looking pretty armored up as Quad J does get removed from the mech. Slitzel J goes down as well, and this should be the end of the story. Overtime going to tick away. The Drop Bears will pick up round number 1.
Yeah, no ultimates there at all for Breakaway Esports. Nothing that they could do to engage on the City Drop Bears. They always had the Graviton Surge available as well. For Haas, it was always an option to just grab them off the point. We see it so often, time and time again. In this case, though, 100-0. Really no surprises here so far.
No, it's, as we said, the Drop Bears coming in to Season 3 as the favourites. They changed up their roster quite a bit. Literally went and got Australia's Overwatch World Cup team -1, put it into Overwatch Contenders Australia. You can see what the results are. It's going to be a tough day here for Breakaway, but we'll see what they can do. Anything is possible. We move on to round 2 here on Busan. Anything that they can change up, or are they just stuck into playing GOATs up against GOATs?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the problem, right? That's the meta is GOATs, but at the same time, if you're playing a mirror version of GOATs, you're giving the team that's better than you the opportunity to say, okay, well, we're just going to outplay you.
That's exactly right, isn't it? If you play a mirror match and the one team is just simply mechanically better than the other, it's going to be tough to win. So, look, in my mind, I understand why they're doing it. It's definitely tough to go up against GOATs with anything else. So, we'll see who gets onto the point first. But I'd love to see Breakaway at least try and capture it this time around.
They're just giving Sydney Drop Bears too much room at the moment to breathe. They're not being aggressive enough here either. Now they're being pushed back already. Sydney Drop Bears all in control. They get the D-Mac on the Quad J.
Yeah, very early Quad J and Slitzel J going down. The J's are out of it. Breakaway going to have to fall back here with 4 being picked up. The Drop Bears going to safely secure themselves the first point. And now, of course, that's going to give them the ultimate advantage heading into the rest of the round, which is precisely what we saw in round number 1.
Yeah, they just looked too scared there, right? They weren't pushing in. They weren't being the aggressors. They were sort of waiting for Sydney Drop Bears to make their move. And then they were trying to then counter that. But unfortunately, if you allow a team like the Sydney Drop Bears to make the move first, their move's pretty brutal.
It is. Yeah, that's the problem is they're probably going to play a little bit better than you. So maybe you need to throw something to it. 4 goes down immediately. We saw them being aggressive there. They did what we asked ZeNox, but unfortunately, it did not work out for them this time around. Now they're going to get chased all the way back into spawn. Got to feel a little bit bad for Breakaway here. But as we said, it's going to be a tough day for them. Even making it into playoffs is a pretty big achievement at this point, but right now here on Busan, they probably wish maybe they didn't have to go up against the Drop Bears.
I was told in primary school, don't run around corners, and apparently that's what 4 did. He just ran straight around that corner and took a couple of projectiles to the face. Went down pretty early. They will come back here, but it is already up to 50% early grab, and this will be an easy fight win for the Sydney Drop Bears. When you've got the ult economy that they have, this is what they're capable of, although Baby Poro is going to be able to pop that Transcendence and try and prolong this for the Breakaway Esports guys. Not really going to be too effective in the end.
No, there's not much, unfortunately, that Baby Poro can do there. You pop the Trans to keep the team alive for longer. You don't, everyone dies to try it again. But either way, the Drop Bears looking pretty there with 4 ultimates. Breakaway, though, will have at least 4 of their own, soon to be 5. So this is potentially their opportunity to find themselves a way onto the point, stem the tide, capture it back, and stop this before it gets 100.
Yeah, Rally was used by D-Field, but immediately, as soon as that came out, Sydney Drop Bears just pressed the go button, aggressive, wanted to just destroy everybody, make sure that Rally is not going to be up for this next and final fight. If there even is one, Ben, there's only 90% already gone here. We may be done with Busan already.
Look, as much as I love going to South Korea, ZeNox, this one, it's time to leave, I suspect. We're going to have to jump onto the plane and head somewhere else because this round is almost over. This map about to head over to the Drop Bears 2 and 0 as they pop the remainder of their ultimates here. See, Kraken's going to have Trans available as well to pop that one. D-Field Quad J going to go down. Look, the Breakaway are pushing across. They did manage to capture it. This is what we asked them to do at least. But look, you can make the move, you can push through quickly, you can get onto the point, but then, look, you're not going to be able to hold it. So, 99, 100 to 11. Breakaway doing a little bit better that time around, but cannot do anything against the force that are the Sydney Drop Bears.
Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. You mentioned it, Ben, as well. If you throw yourself onto the point, you can get a point sometimes, and they got 11%. Unfortunately, by doing that, you kind of don't really get kills from that, and then you're just sitting ducks on the point.
Yeah, correct. You split up your team. But let's be real, what else can you do in that kind of situation? The Sydney Drop Bears, just a level above Breakaway here, at least for now, as the first map does go across to them. Of course, the Drop Bears got to pick Busan, so that means now that Breakaway will get to pick the next map in the series. But they're going to have something special saved up for us here.
I mean, they certainly will. I mean, I did mention that they aren't too bad here coming into Numbani, possibly, where they've played 4 maps so far, they've won 2, so maybe an opportunity there. But it's Sydney Drop Bears, it's hard to just sit there and say, oh, we'll choose Numbani there. It gives us a solid chance. But it's about learning what they can take from it. Apparently, if they're already quite decent in Numbani, pick it. Then see what the Sydney Drop Bears do on that so you can maybe improve on it going into next season. This is all what it's about for Breakaway Esports. And from this game, even on Busan, what they can take away from it, what was like 5 minutes, they can then hopefully take it into the next season. Yeah,
and I guess the other thing here that is important as part of playoffs is that we have a bit of a format shift heading into the rest of 2019. It's not going to be the same number of teams. So it's going to be a bit of a change-up, bit of a shake-up in which teams make it across. And the teams that make it through to the semis are in a much better spot than the teams that lose round 1 of playoffs. But if you can gain something from round 1 by playing against the team like the Drop Bears, you can see maybe what your weaknesses are, improve on them before you try and qualify for first season of 2019. Maybe that puts you in a little bit of a better spot. You need to look into the future. It's not just about now.
Yeah, exactly right. It's also about how you take away this information and whether or not that they can put that into use as well. It's very easy to sit there, take a beating and be like, okay, they did this, this, and this. But if you can't apply that then to your scrims or practices going forward, then it's all for naught anyway. So it's about how they can actually utilize this information going forward into the next season and first-hand experience in a live setting against a team like the Sydney Drop Bears, it's invaluable at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly right, and that's what we want to see. So, as you suggested, Numbani is going to be the pick. Obviously, if you take a look at their alternative of Hollywood, they played it once, they lost it once. So, Numbani with 4 plays, 2 wins, and 1 map loss. They must have got a draw out of there somewhere as well.
Yep.
It's probably the pick to go with. So, not bad, not bad. The challenge really, though, is how do you play Numbani up against a team like the Sydney Drop Bears?
You know, I think you just pray and hope at the end of the day. They're probably going to run goats. The question is, though, what kind of variation we have seen in recent weeks. We've seen Thara being used on Numbani at different times by different teams. Lucio, you got the Winstons, for example. You can play some different formats of goats. It's still goats, really, though, on Numbani. So it'll be interesting to see what Breakaway Esports will necessarily go for. I personally think they may just run standard goats here and just try their absolute best and see sort of them what Sydney Drop Bears are going to be running. Chronodota already on the Winston. I think that's what you generally expect to see here on Numbani. 4's going to go for the Winston as well. Yeah,
obviously with the high ground here across the point, it can be a little bit more difficult to get up there with something like a Reinhardt. But the Sydney Drop Bears are going to be starting off on the defensive side as Breakaway have chosen the map. That means they have to attack first. It's going to be a tough one for them here. We'll see how this one plays out. 4 minutes to work with to capture point A.
It's all about taking it 1 point at a time. And in this case, it quite literally is the first point. Take it 1 at a time as a Kraken turns a couple of orbs to form. And that is going to be the first pickup of Numbani so far. And for Sydney Drop Bears, it's just all about controlling that high ground. You can see it earlier. Kraken sitting far back. Breakaway Esports. This is not dive, Ben. So it's safer for a Kraken to sit there by himself.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about too much, really, at all. So, look, the benefit at least of something like the hybrid game mode here on Numbani is that you only have to have success once on the first point to be able to capture it.
Yep, exactly right.
You don't require consistency. Yep. You just have to save everything up and throw it all in, particularly against a stronger team. So, Breakaway going to push back in. They're going to go through the room up into the high ground. You can see 4, once again, going to take a little bit of damage as soon as that Zarya shield pops. It's very, very difficult. Obviously, Breakaway, that's who's being targeted there for them by the Drop Bears. And D-Field, the first one to go down. Unfortunately, that means the rest of the team going to have to fall back. Chronodata pushes on through. That Primal Rage available, but not yet required.
Yeah, D-Field just unfortunately got displaced down the bottom. As soon as you get that split, a team like Sydney Drop Bears, they all just completely converge onto D-Field. Absolutely obliterated in like 3 seconds there. He had no chance of getting out. And what was interesting there was Chronodota actually messed up his jump, fell down below. So for a short amount of time, there was a bit of high ground advantage. Now we're going to see the Graviton Surge come out.
Here's the Graviton coming through, and with no Reinhardt, that can be a little bit more dangerous. Quad J going to get removed from that one. D-Field brings one back, but it does not matter. The Drop Bears picking up the majority of the kills, and now half the time has been used up here on the first point. Breakaway, at least, with 3 up to 5 in a moment, ultimates remaining.
Yeah, but Sydney Drop has got 4 up already. They did commit the Graviton Surge and the self-destructive in that fight. And I think maybe they might have got caught off guard a little bit there by the Breakaway Esports guys. They didn't quite fully reset. They just came back around through the front and then pushed in.
Right?
Yeah, very quick push. They're going to go in again here. Rally. They've got to just take these fights early, try and force out ultimates from Sydney Drop Bears.
Here we go again. 4 going to be very aggressive. They will at least get the high ground. Sydney Drop Bears going to drop back now onto the point. Split up just a little bit. Is this going to work out? Chronodota does go low, pops to Primal Rage. Graviton Surge going to come out now from Breakaway as well. This is their opportunity to make something of it, and the self-destruct will find Chronodota. That's one down. They need to follow it up with more. Target now is Shoyo. You can see Slitzel J pushing through, trying to find that second tank as well. D-Field, Jarvis, though, go down, and the Drop Bears manage to stabilize here. Unfortunately, Breakaway are not going to be able to find the kills they need.
And CKM just walked in there, started flailing around, picked up a double kill. And that's the type of fight that Breakaway Esports wanted. They got all the ultimates out of Sydney Drop Bears. They did have to commit their own. But with 45 seconds remaining now, at the very least, going into this final 40 seconds, Sydney Drop Bears got no ultimates left. They used the Graviton Surge there from Huss at the end as well. So Sydney Drop Bears gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way here. No ultimates. Breakaway Esports will have 2 ultimates coming up.
They're pushing through. 30 seconds on the clock. Graviton Surge available. Need to make it count. Throws into the side of the wall. Not even sure if we hit anyone there.
I don't think it did.
Yeah, that was definitely less than ideal. Now Baby Pyro will be using Trans Self-Destruct. Comes out from the drop bears. It's going to force them back as well. 15 seconds. This is their last chance. Trying to find Chrono Dota. Surely they can take him out. 2 bars of health remain. But he gets healed up and, well, the kills coming out once again from the drop bears will make it sealed. Breakaway, unfortunately, won't be able to find even 1/3 of point A here on Numbani.
And it all fell apart at the very beginning of that fight. As mentioned, that Slitsword J had the Graviton Surge. Baby Pyro also had the Transcendence available. 2 ults to 0 ults. And they wasted both of them at the very beginning of the fight, unfortunately, for Breakaway Esports. And then, even though when the fight continued on, they started to split their damage. They weren't really focusing on singular targets. They were splitting their damage up, which was allowing City Drop Bears to stay alive longer. And of course, they are going to absolutely convert all of their damage into 1 or 2 players, depending on positioning. And that's when you just started to see that kill feed light up, and Breakaway started to, unfortunately, lose their footing.
It took a while, though, and I can't help but feel that maybe if the ground had hit, it would have been a different story. It was, you know, they had the high ground as well, so a decent position, probably one of the better positions they'd been in. Unfortunately, the drop bears just that little bit better, ZeNox. Yeah,
you mentioned the high ground. I mean, that's probably why that fight went on a little bit longer, is because Breakaway Esports did have that high ground advantage, and if they had have been able to use that Graviton Surge a little bit better, a bit more efficiently, then maybe they could have been able to take that first point. Fortunately, not the case, and Sydney Drop Bears do get the full hold here, so they only have to take the first point here on Numbani. And if they do that, they are already match point here in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, looking for 3 maps. That's what we're after here. That's how playoffs are working, at least in the quarterfinals. So, potential for this one to be a quick one, which means our next match, if that's the case, would push on forward. It'd be a little bit earlier on. Certainly not that 1 PM time slot that we had suggested earlier. So certainly come back earlier is all I'm going to say about that one. But now this is the Drop Bears. They're pushing on out on attack. They only need to find 33%. They'll find themselves 2 maps up. If they do, they're going to choose to push up on the low ground for now. The 2 tanks going to try and take the high ground, at least disrupt as the rest of the team does push down. Of course, that means that Breakaway has to drop off the high ground to try and make something of this. It's a trade, 1 tank for 1 tank, but now CKM comes through, brings it back once again in the Drop Bears' favor. Slitzel J goes down, and unfortunately Breakaway are forced to contest the point. There's not much they can do, and it's only a matter of seconds.
Yeah, and obviously Sydney Drop Bears, they take out Numbani. They only needed 33.3% because of that full hold. There was no percentage grabbed either way, but it was a great push from the Sydney Drop Bears regardless. They sort of faked them out a little bit. Like, they sent Winston and the Diva up onto the high ground and then pulled them back down to the low ground while sending everyone else towards the point, knowing that they only had to get 33.3%. Breakaway Esports were almost sort of anticipating a fight to happen on that high ground, pushed back a little bit, and that put them away from the point even further. And then they did get the early pick onto Chrono Dota. From there, they weren't able to capitalize. I thought maybe that would have given Breakaway Esports a chance to try and repel that first attack.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate, but the nature of it is, isn't it, if you've only got 1/3 to defend, it's a little bit tougher. You have to secure the point. You can't afford to give up just that single tick and be like, hang on, we're going to win the fight anyway. A lot of great plays coming out here from the Drop Bears, though Breakaway did have some good moments. Unfortunately, they weren't able to capitalize on the 2 times that maybe it was a 50-50 situation and turn that into a point capture here on A.
Yeah, and you don't get many 50-50 situations against the Sydney Drop Bears either. So when you do get that sort of situation to arise, you really need to make use of it and give yourselves the best chance and the best odds of coming out in that fight. And we saw it a couple of times on Numbani, probably more so than we saw it on Busan, at least for Breakaways Esports' case. And there were a couple of times where they got a pick or 2. They just couldn't quite get more than that, or they couldn't quite capitalize in fights compared to Sydney Drop Bears, who were able to just get the job done.
Yeah, that's the nature of a team like the Drop Bears. As we said, it's going to be a tough day in the office here for Breakaway Esports, as they are now just 1 map loss away from being eliminated here in playoffs at least. The Drop Bears looking to secure themselves a spot in the semi-finals. They are just chasing 1 more map. For now, we're going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, it'll be map number 3.